of the Demystifying Microsoft podcast. I'm Nathan Taylor, your host. I'm the SVP and our global Microsoft practice leader for the Sourcepass Center of Excellence for Microsoft. This podcast is our attempt to just share all the crazy cool stuff that Microsoft's doing, share our knowledge, help you understand some of these complex topics. We understand how complicated Microsoft can be because they have a solution for everything. And those solutions are constantly changing and growing. And it's just great to have the solutions, places you can go and get answers. So we want to be that answer for you. So hopefully you guys find these episodes popular and helpful and insightful. I know I've gotten feedback from a few of you. Big shout out to Matthew Collins for comments, and a few other people who said, hey, just thank you for the content you're putting out. And we appreciate that. So let us know if you're enjoying this. It's kind of nice to know people are listening and that it's valuable. I enjoy doing it. I've been doing small to mid-sized business IT for 20 years, mostly in the Microsoft space. Been in a Microsoft partner ecosystem where I've been focused on Microsoft consulting for at least the last 10. And so this is fun stuff for me to talk about. This is stuff I have fun chatting about. And when we get into some of this Microsoft stuff, it's even more fun just to dig into what cool stuff Microsoft's doing. And on this topic of email security, I enjoy it because it's kind of a little corner of the internet that I know some things about and I enjoy digging into and understanding. So having a lot of fun chatting about this stuff with you guys. This is part 3 of our series about Microsoft email security. We've talked at a high level about all the technologies involved. Last week, we really got into the content around DNS and SPF and DKIM and DMARC. These are these base level technologies that really drive the technology landscape here. And next, we're going to talk about this week for week 3. We're going to talk about some of the Microsoft products and what they do and how we find them to be valuable for this space. And then in our final week, we're going to get deep into some nerdy stuff. We're going to really dig into MTSDS and DANE for DNSSEC, TLS RPT, MX.Microsoft, a lot of really technical stuff that is kind of the future of where this is headed. So nerd alert, the next episode will be a lot more nerdy. But for this week, I wanted to talk about the products Microsoft has and some of the products we can give you access to for securing your email security. We talked a lot about how a lot of this email stuff is tied to authenticating email, right? We talked last week about how DMARC and SPF and DKIM are a way for you to say, this is my legitimate email. And I was trying to think about illustrations that would help with that conversation. And I realized that maybe some illustrations might help over the next few weeks for us to understand a few things. So first illustration I came up with is I thought about how people are taught to detect currency that's counterfeit. If you've ever looked into that process, the way they teach tellers how to do that is they just have them spend a lot of time working with real cash. There's a texture, there's a substance to real cash. It's not printed on paper, it's printed on a fabric. It's very expensive fabric and special fabric. The way they print them is special. And it's very difficult to go replicate that quickly and easily. It takes some high-end machinery and special fabric and special ink and special things. And now we have all the holographic strips and all the little ways that they try to really identify that it's a legitimate bill. And so when they have a new bank teller, they just have them spend a lot of time with real cash. And as they get used to that real cash, they start to be able to subtly pick up the little details that aren't in alignment. And I think that's a lot of what we're talking about here is all these little details about how you configure your domain, how your setup is done, really starts to make it so that people getting email from you start to really understand that your legitimate email will look correct. It's going to come over an SMTP TLS encrypted connection. It's going to be signed. It's going to be from a vouched for server. It's going to have DMARC records, and those DMARC records are going to say, yeah, we trust our servers, and here's how you can tell. And the technologies we'll talk about next week are all about really kind of confirming that chain of command. When you're receiving email, it's a different set of challenges, right? We want to teach our servers to do that for people sending email to us. We want somebody standing in front of our email server, maybe like a bouncer is the idea. If you got somebody out there who's just looking at everybody and going, I don't know if I want you in here. And this is something we do every day. You know, if you go to the park and somebody starts talking with your kid, you very quickly go through a set of risk analysis on that person. Are they there with another kid? What's their age? How are they dressed? What is their demeanor? Are they aggressive? Are they making eye contact? Are you going to be maybe less worried if it's a grandma kind of personality going and talking to your kid than maybe a young 20-something male walking into the space? Like, there's just all these variables we automatically do. And in the email world, we're kind of doing the same thing. We're trying to figure some of that out. And so today we're going to talk about the technologies we can use to really start to assess the email coming in and make sure that it's clean. And where I was going with that illustration was one of the things we've been talking a lot about on these episodes is how we're not a fan of what's called MX-based email filters. There's a lot of the filters that have been around for 20 years that we used back when Exchange servers ran in closets in everybody's office. That want your email to flow through them. You send all your email to them, and then they send it to you. We're not fans of that process. A lot of those tools are great, but having your MX record with a third party actually causes a lot of problems these days. And the illustration I was thinking about it was when your mail server gets that email, it's looking at the fingerprints on the email. It wants to know who sent it, wants to check those fingerprints and make sure they look good. When you run it through a third party on the way in as a transport flow, there's other fingerprints on that email, and it really messes up the chain of custody on that evidence. And when your tool wants to look at that email, it goes, well, I see fingerprints from my mail filter provider and fingerprints from the sender, but I got it from my Mailflow guy, but he's not an approved sender for the customer. And it causes all kinds of weird issues these days. And so that's one of my plugs. It's just, if you're using an third-party email filter, there's a lot of great ones out there. We resell a couple of them. There's value in having multiple layers of mail filtering. So maybe you like the Microsoft stack and you like your third party, your Iron Scales or Abnormal or Proofpoint or Mimecast. You've got your tool of choice. Start looking into moving that third-party tool to an API-based connection. It's really going to improve your life on an email flow perspective because it allows that mail to flow point to point. And when it gets to Microsoft, all the data is clean. There's no extra fingerprints on it. And that was the illustration I wanted to use to kind of explain our preference for that. That being said, we are big fans of the Microsoft product. Microsoft has a product called Defender for Office 365. There are 2 different SKUs of this, and we talked about this on our first call. But I wanted to kind of talk through how we go deploy it and configure it. And so I'm going to pull up my screen here and share the product page for you so you can see how it looks, because there's a lot of cool stuff here, and we have a whole solution we offer where we configure this for you properly and make sure that you get to the point where you are getting the proper solutions. And I always fumble through sharing screens here. Let's see, I want this window, and we're going with this one. All right, there's my screen. So this is just the Microsoft website. This is their Defender for 365 landing page. I'm going to run through it just to talk through how this works. So this license is an add-on license that you can either bolt onto any Microsoft 365 SKU in a $2 and a $5 format, or it's included with a lot of our SKUs. So if you run Business Premium, which is our favorite SKU for businesses under 300 seats, it's the best value in the space. It includes Plan 1 in the stack. You can bolt Plan 2 on as part of a really great way to bolt on Plan 2 is part of the E5 security add-on. You can bolt that onto your Office 365 E3s or your M365 E3s or your Business Premium licenses, and it includes this SKU. So there's lots of ways we can license it, and we'd love to help you walk through that. Microsoft licensing is its own magical art that has to be mastered separately, and we've got people who know it left and right and upside down and backwards. So hit us up. For me, the real money is in the P1 SKU. That's where a lot of the email protection is. They've got A number of solutions we'll go through down below. The P2 solution adds some additional layers around additional protection in teams. They can do some phish testing, that sort of thing, and a lot more automated threat intelligence as well. So for more advanced security situations, the P2 is a great license to have. I think the P2 is better sold as part of an add-on like the E5 security bundle. You're going to want the other SKUs with that. So most of the time, we're either going to sell you P1 as part of another SKU or P5 as another SKU. But today we're mostly going to talk about the P1 functionality because I think that's where a lot of the great features are. So let me go find the capabilities because they had a great layout here of what it does. Here it is. This is kind of a breakdown, and I want to talk about some of these features in a little bit more depth. AI-powered sentiment analysis. This is brand new. Has been only enabled for a few months, but this is a big deal. Microsoft filters an insane amount of email every day, and they use all of that data, and they're now starting to push AI models against it to start to identify attacks. Now, one of the challenges they had is they have so much data that if they tried to run it through something like ChatGPT, the amount of data center they need just to filter email would be mind-boggling. It'd be staggering. So they've had to build really focused language models for business email compromise and phishing, but they've done a lot of work in that, and they've built these lightweight AI modules that they can then run your email through, and they're starting to roll those out. And I'm really excited about the level of protection that adds to our users. And so that's a big announcement and a big improvement. They have this inline user protection. And what that is Microsoft goes through and it rewrites all of your links. And it also opens all your attachments in a sandbox. So when an email comes through with an attachment, they go open it in a VM in the cloud and see what it does. Look for malicious code, look for malicious activity. And so it really starts to filter out some of those novel zero-day exploits that are maybe embedded in an Excel file or a PDF or an attachment that's trying to be malicious. And then the inline links are a real big win because one of the things threat actors will do is they'll send you an email, and the email will lead to a clean payload. There's nothing on the back end of it. It's just a benign website that link goes to. It lands in your user's mailbox on a Saturday afternoon. And at time of reception, it's a clean link. But Monday morning at 9 a.m., they change where that URL is going. They redirect it to a malicious payload. And at that point, now your user's in the office and they're clicking on it. With the Microsoft Defender for 365 Safe Links functionality, when they click on it, Microsoft goes and checks the link at time of click. And so it adds a really important layer of protection in all the links because email is a common threat vector for threat actors to get into your system. They also start looking for business email compromise. They're starting to use AI to analyze emails for sentiment, for kind of how people are trying to get money out of people. And in the small business space, I would say this is one of the more common ways we see threat actors extract money from small business. They find a set of, maybe they compromise somebody's email account. They find a set of invoices that are legitimate. They start to change things like ACH numbers and slightly altered details in the invoice and try to intercept the funds that are getting paid for a legitimate invoice. Microsoft is really trying to crack down on all the details around those sort of things, and they're using AI to detect those, automatically disabled compromised users, that sort of thing. So really important stuff coming there, and I think it's an important piece of the tool. They have some security posture optimizations. They have some default settings they will deploy for you now. We also have a default config that we put a lot of effort into where we can help you build all of these tools out according to our best practices. Being a Microsoft product, to properly deploy this product, it's 120 separate settings because it's Microsoft. It's a bunch of checkboxes that you have to check properly. We have a full config that we run. We run a lot of our businesses through. Reach out to us. We'd be happy to walk you through that and get you going. If you're running the P2, you can do some awareness and training where you can start to do phish testing. And then on the more advanced solution SKU, the P2 SKU, you can do investigation hunting, automated response, and start to really dial in some automation around this. So this product is a real key product for us. We really believe every customer should be running Defender for Office 365 P1 and properly configured. We have a security assessment we do for a lot of our customers. We'd love to help you out with that. We do a full evaluation of the Microsoft 365 security posture, and we walk you through that. It takes about 45 minutes for us to walk you through your tenant, show you some areas that need improvement. And one of the areas that we go and look at all the settings is these P1 settings to make sure that all these built-in protections that are included in a lot of SKUs are properly configured, because a lot of people have access to the license, but they're not properly configured. And so you're not getting the protection you need there. And so we'd love to help you with that, either as part of our Defender for Office 365 rollout or our 365 assessment product. And I'm passionate about this. I enjoy running these assessments. It's really cool to see where people's postures are. We align it with the CIS Top 18 and go through and show you all kinds of areas that we can help you improve your security posture in Microsoft 365, which is such a large portion of your digital estate as a business is in that Microsoft ecosystem. And so we love helping with that. The other tools that we can also offer to help you are, we have multiple flavors of cybersecurity awareness training that we can offer you. Through our marketplace, we can give you access to USecure or Fin security. We have a couple others we can get you access to. And so let's take Fin security awareness training as an example. This has become a requirement for most businesses for your cybersecurity insurance using on a regular basis of your insurance policy. You deploy some of these tools out where we help you with making sure your users get trained. And what's great about these tools is they're pretty easy to use. They're simple to onboard. They're automated. They train you monthly, so you're not doing the once a year, like 4 hours. You got to sit through the cheesy video and kind of go watch the actors pretend to, oh my goodness, Jane, you got hacked. What happened? Like that stuff's painful. These are easier. They're once a month. They hit a key topic. They're very adaptive to kind of what's happening in the market. Not a lot of work to run. We can get you set up, get them running. You get great reporting. Really simple. You can add specific content for your vertical. So let's say you need HIPAA training. We can add additional training modules. Maybe you have financial policies. Maybe you have some rules around federal government contracts, and you need to make sure you're educating people on SOX or some other compliance framework. We can add specific frameworks in here to give people that training. And we allow our customers then to just really get this knocked out. They're able to just run the training. And we also can use the same tool to do your phish testing. So we can regularly send out, hey, once or twice a quarter, once or twice a month, if you really want to go at it, we can send you phishing tests to your users automatically through this tool. If they fail and click on a phishing email, they get a simple training. They go take their training. And then you get all your reporting analytics where you can then show your anybody who's interested in either your insurance company or your compliance team, hey, we're making sure we're training our team. So reach out to your account manager, hit our website if you want some security awareness training. We'd love to get you set up with that, get that going for you. The other tool I'm excited about that we can offer you is EasyDMARC. We can help you get access to their great tool that allows you to go through and get reporting. And we're going to talk about this even more next week, because as we dial in our email security as a business, our SPF, our DKIM, our DMARC, we have to have reporting because it becomes really difficult to dial that in. I was talking to a customer this morning, and he's like, yeah, every time I turn around, marketing's got a new tool. And I don't know what they're using, and I don't know if it's been properly configured, but they go sign up for a tool, and now they're sending AI marketing messages. And I don't know if those are going through. They're not in our SPF and DMARC records. Well, when you set up a tool like EasyDMARC, you've got a publicly published record that says, hey, if you get email from me, send me a record if it doesn't match my SPF and DKIM. And if it does, send me a record anyways, so that I have that data to put into my dashboard to understand who's sending email as me. So EasyDMARC gives you a great way to do that sort of reporting. Let's go ahead and run it on my one of my testing domains. You can see we got DMARC, SPF, and DKIM properly configured. I can see the details. Now, this is just the stuff they do on their public website. The actual product has a lot more data, and it builds you all kinds of reporting on what sort of information you have properly set up in your tenant. So you're able to see who's sending as you. You're able to get dashboards of how much your email is failing, who's spoofing you, what threat actors are after you, what countries they're sending email from. And what's great is that we can do additional layers here. So it's not just SPF and DNS and DKIM and DMARC. I can roll out advanced products that we'll talk about next week, like managed BIMI, MTSCS reporting, TLS reporting, flattening your SPF record. Sometimes some of these companies, they have 20 or 30 services that are sending as their domain, and the SPF record standard only allows 10 lookups. So you can use their tool to flatten your SPF record, review your SPF record, all kinds of DKIM tools. So there's a lot of really great capabilities in this product. And often for IT departments, the real issue is, hey, I just don't know what's going on in my tenant, and I need to know who's sending email as me and when it's failing. And one of the things you run into as an IT person is that you find out mail is not flowing as your company. Like, you get a report that all the mail you're sending is ending up in people's junk mail. It can be really hard as the IT guy to understand why. What am I doing wrong? What is misconfigured? What's happening? Having a tool like EasyDMARC running on your tenant really gives you all the reporting to have a fighting chance to go understand why. Start digging into the records, you realize somebody changed something in DNS, or one of your third-party tools changed their process for how they securely sign their DKIM records on emails, and you need to go update a record to fix that. Or somebody else put a new tool in front of your email server, and it's now messing with all your emails, right? Somebody on the security team modified something, and now all your emails are getting blocked because they're failing DKIM. There's a lot of variables there, and a tool like EasyDMARC gives you a fighting chance to get ahead of that. We'll dig into this some more next week, because we're going to be talking about some of these topics: BIMI, MTSCS, TLS, RPT. We'll be able to give you some additional details about how those technologies work. But EasyDMARC is a great tool that we can help you do all this reporting, and it's really cost effective. Really, really not very expensive for us to get you on this platform and just get you the data you need. And that actually goes hand in hand with the other project. If you're running your security awareness training, you do one of our Microsoft Defender for 365 hardening projects, we get this product rolled out. You all of a sudden have raised your email game dramatically across the board. You're covering your users in their training. You're teaching them how to avoid phishing. You're watching for those business email compromise. You're making sure your email is coming through really legit and clean. Next week, we'll talk about all the different ways you can make sure your email is easily discernible from counterfeit email. You've got all kinds of layers in place so that your email that's coming from you that's legitimate checks every box, and it's just quick and easy for anybody you're emailing with to be able to understand that the email they're getting from you is legitimate and clean and trustworthy. And that goes a long way in this world. As much noise as we get in email, being able to verify that somebody sent you true, clean, trustable email is an important part of your kind of your business's reputation in the marketplace. So I appreciate you listening. If you waited around this long as I rambled on, I hope it was helpful. Check back in with us next week for week 4. We're going to dig deep into some technical topics. Going to be a little bit nerdier, but kind of fun stuff. New technology. Some of this stuff has been around for email for many years. I looked it up. It was the early 80s when SMTP and email first started. So email's as old as I am. But some of these new technologies are only a couple years old. So it's kind of fun that there's some new things to play with and some new technologies to help us with verifying our email. So once again, thank you for joining us on the Demystifying Microsoft podcast. Please check in on our website at sourcepassmcoe.com. If you have any questions, you'd like to get in touch with our team about any of these projects, check us out on YouTube and LinkedIn. That's where we post a lot of these videos and a lot of our past contents there. We're hoping to do one or two of these a week through the rest of the year, just as we are ramping up. I'm doing a bunch of these more technical ones. Wade does really good videos about what's new in the Microsoft ecosystem with Microsoft programs and license changes and all the different moving parts that they have on that end. And so keep subscribe to those, check those out, and share them with your friends on LinkedIn. And we appreciate all of you who listened, and we look forward to chatting with you on the next one on the Demystifying Microsoft podcast. Thanks for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.